Whoa! Oh no, I didn't get the music cut off in the right spot. Everyone, I'm back. Oh my goodness, I am back. I have to tell you a little bit about this vacation. This was something. So, for those of you who don't know, last week there was no stream because I was at high altitudes. I was in Cusco and the sort of surrounding area, most notably among which is Machu Picchu. And I have to say, that was a very, very memorable trip. That was certainly something I've never experienced before. If you have not traveled to high altitudes or lived at high altitudes in your life, there is something that, well, at least that I didn't know before going, which is that it can be quite unpleasant, quite hard on the body to adjust to those high elevations where you're not able to get as much oxygen into you. And the body does all sorts of strange things to compensate for this. One of those things is it gives you a blinding headache all the time. And so part of the fun and the challenge of traveling to high altitudes is knowing how to deal with that. And fortunately, I had the benefit of having asked some people in advance what exactly to do. And so I'm seeing something that we're not on YouTube. Lucy, could you check out if we're on YouTube? Yeah. And so basically I had these pills that people sell here in Peru for altitude sickness. And I was basically checking my watch. You know, you can only take them every so ever many hours. And so I was checking my watch down to the minute. Okay, I can take them now, go. Waking up in the middle of the night to take them. Yeah, it was intense. I'm told not everyone responds the same way. So you may have better luck if you do it. But I guess I was one of the ones that that it didn't work out so well for. And so couple that then with a fairly physically intensive trip. We were doing some mountain climbing, a lot of hiking around historical sites and things like that. And on the old Fitbit, the stair climbing counter said something like 150 every day. Because, yeah, it's a lot of up and down. And so I'd been pretty sedentary before that. So the whole thing was a challenge, but oh my goodness, what a fun time. I have to recommend it to you if you have not gone. We are lucky to have a place like Cusco, the Cusco department in Peru. If you can get there, the scenery, the history, everything, the people, the cuisine, it's all amazing as long as you can get past that one little bit of altitude sickness. So that's my news. That's all that's been going on with me. So I think today, without too much further ado, we will start on the second half of the Historical Linguistics Challenge, number 2. And last time we got decent ways. We reconstructed some initial consonants, some word initial consonants. We got the sonorants down, I think, pretty nicely. We had a bit of trouble with the obstruents. And I think we're going to just pick it up there. I did a little bit more work on it over the interim, but not very much. So we're going to be going in more or less as we were last time. So I'm going to do the YouTube intro, and then I think we should get started. So, YouTube, welcome back. We are getting started again on the second Historical Linguistics Challenge. And if you haven't seen the earlier episodes, I would say go check that out first to make sense of all of this. Otherwise, why don't we just dive in? Because I think that's the best way. That's the best way to do it. So let's scoot me over into the side. Whoop, there I go. And we have our setup here. And so briefly, to reacquaint everyone, we have the data on the left, the 5 languages with cognate sets, 1 to 50. Then we have our correspondence tables in the second window here, where I've labeled the 5 languages A, B, C, D, E, just for ease of screen real estate, really. And then we have our proposed sound changes over here. The one big thing I've done between this time and last time, and I will get to the good ideas coming in from the chat in a second, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here, is I have backed off of reconstructing these obstruent series, and I've gone with these algebraic notations of P1, P2, P3, roughly some kind of labial. It looks like there are 3 series of labials, and I've just given them the numbers P1, P2, and P3. Similarly, we have T1, T2, and T3, although it seems like there's a bit of a divergence in how T3 is handled. I suspect this has to do with the following vowel. And so, as Sutton says, the vowels might be our next point of attack on this. And yeah, that's about it. So why don't we get started on some vowels? Let's see if we can try doing some. The other thing I did was I did do a few non-word initial consonants here. I didn't get very far with it. It turns out I massively overestimated how much time I would have to myself on that trip. It was one of those trips done through an agency, a travel agency, which was really cool, actually. I had no idea that it would work as well as it did, but they had us going, every minute of every day was packed because there's just so much to see. Anyway, so let's get on to some vowels. All right. So you can see here, let's start with some word initial vowels to help us out a bit. So let's look for reference at language B, because it seems to have maintained the sort of the CV skeleton of the proto-language. Well, one assumes. B and C seem to have maintained the CV skeleton, whereas you can see we have tongdahlo, so 3 syllables here, and then we have only 2 in D, and only 2 in B. So I think we can start by doing some vowel correspondences, starting with, let's say, word 4. So the way to read this middle sheet is, this is the word. So word number 4. Then the environment, it's going to be word initial and before a consonant, I think, most likely. And this will be our reconstruction, this column here. And so why don't we just start filling it in? So in A we have E, in D we have A, in B we have A, in C we have A, in D we have A, and in E we have no reflex. So let me just, to make things a bit easier, A, B, C, D, E, put that in there. And I will hide this row. Great. Okay. Sutton points out that one branch has nasal vowels and the other has rhotic vowels. let's see. We'll come to that, I think, soon. Yeah, we'll come to that soon, I think. Actually, sooner than perhaps even I imagined. So we have this correspondence set, a unknown. What do we have next? We have, hopefully I can remember which key is which on this. A, and then we have a long e. Okay. Let's just try this. And E. And this is in word 5. So we're just going to start off with these word initial vowels. Because then we only have one side of the environment to worry about. I feel kind of like Bob Ross here, you know. We're just going to start out with the word initial vowel. So let's get another one. How about we get a nice happy word initial vowel in word 6 here. Yeah, I'm glad you feel my pain. I tried the IPA keyboard. I think that caused more problems than it solved last time. So I'm gonna stick with my sad strategy of copying and pasting into spreadsheets. Hopefully, it is not too painful to watch. So here we have, especially because the keyboard that I'm using has the Latin American layout on it. So when I look down and I see the things written on the keyboard that are not actually what they correspond to on my computer, it is something. Okay, so a. Can I get my no. And then schwa in E. Okay, so we have this correspondence set in which we have okay. Oh, Reggie, I'm really happy to see that someone studying comparative linguistics has come to join us. I should also mention, please, if you have ideas, put them in the chat, because my brain has, I think, maybe 1 or perhaps 2 tracks. And while I'm talking and copying and pasting and checking the stream settings, sometimes I miss the most obvious things. So please do feel free to jump in with suggestions. As for the question of whether there was any analogy allowed in the evolution of these languages, I never specifically stated that it was forbidden. So I think we have to consider that it may be a possibility. Although I think like in standard reconstruction, it's something that we would want to appeal to as a last resort after all of our avenues of regular sound change have been exhausted. And I also I'm also allowing for the fact that there may be copying and pasting errors, there may be borrowings, there may be all sorts of things like that. Sutton's bringing up the classic problem of p to j, which we experienced in the first, I say experienced, caused perhaps, maybe would be the more apt word. I caused that problem, but a good time was had by all. Okay, so here we have I, and schwa again. So this looks quite similar to the correspondence we have in 6. A few differences, but rising rose. Thank you. Hydrate and stretch. So here's the hydration. And the stretch, I'm just gonna, you can't see, I'm stretching the lower half of my body. You'll have to trust me. Okay, so there we have 7. We have a suggestion coming in that the word final thing in 6 seems to be something like M. That'd be interesting. we have a nasalization in A, and then we have stops everywhere else. It could be that yeah, I mean, it could be an M, although I think maybe something like a prenasalized stop might work as well. Because we see this kind of pattern where we have nasal vowels right before. Okay, we have this. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how to describe what's going on here. The nasalization on vowels in A seems to come either from a following nasal, as in words 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, frankly. But then we have to explain what's going on with 5 and 6 and 7, which don't seem to have nasals after them in the other sister languages. Okay. So, but let's go bit by bit, step by step, and let's not get ahead of ourselves. Well, you feel free to get ahead of me, but I'm gonna go and plod along at my glacial pace here, just to make sure that I miss as little as possible, and I'm able to be as systematic as I can be. Okay, so E. We have this A. Whether the vowel length is something kind of intrinsic to the vowel quality or it's unrelated, I'm agnostic about right now. But I'm sure the mysteries of that will be revealed before too long. Yeah, Reggie points out a prenasalized stop would explain the pattern of nasalization in A and gemination in B, which we see, in 7. Abda, and perhaps the well, it seems like the structure of this C words, the CV skeleton of 7 is, I'm just going to write it over here, was something like VCCVC. And if I can make it a bit more specific, I think we have V and then a labial and then a coronal and then a vowel and then another coronal. Although what's going on with that final consonant is still a mystery. Sutton points out NB is a strange cluster to have in a daughter with conservative word shapes. Which one are you looking at there? Sutton, is it? Oh, sorry, yeah. Number 1. 1B. Pin bean. Yeah, that's true. I mean, a non-homorganic nasal stop cluster is kind of marked, I guess you would say, in general. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Because it looks like in B we don't have a requirement that nasal stop clusters be homorganic at all. If we look at 3B, dong da lo. Okay, cool. Actually, maybe we don't have much of a requirement on that in E either, because we have kahun ki and pin pun, which do not, the nasals of which do not assimilate. All right, let's see if there are any more word initial vowels that we can take advantage of. Looks like we have it does not look like we have any more. So this is what we have to work with word initial vowels. There are a few word initial vowels that show up due to deletion of what are clearly consonants in the ancestral language. All right. Okay, so that's a little bit more data for us. Does that help us much? That I'm not totally sure of. Let's see if we can pick up on any clues that have come from the chat so far. So, Sutton, question for you. You were thinking that we should start with the vowels. Is there anything that jumps out to you here, or any particular words whose vowels or whose vocalism cries out as solving a mystery or being an especially promising lead to follow up on? I think what we can do is say that we can write the nasalization rule, I think, for B. Or, no, we can write a nasalization rule for A. Satan, have the ancients forbidden you from saying? These ancients, I tell you, always getting in the way. Okay, so let's write a little rule that says a vowel to vowel nasal will become a nasalized vowel. Can I write this using this fancy ipa.typeit.org? I do not know. Where's my nasalization diacritic? Here. Okay. So I think, yes, we are good. It looks like we have vowel nasal going to nasalized vowel at the end of a word, and also perhaps before a consonant. So I think this rule will help us with things like bien and din and tomber and aidant. Oh, Sutton saw behind the curtain. Goodness. Okay. Okay. Well, then let's proceed without Sutton's help. I'm sad to lack it because Sutton's a stalwart reconstruction warrior. But we will persevere. Okay, so what are we going to do? Sutton pointed out that nasal vowels in A correspond to long vowels in B, which is very much like the Ingvionic fimf to fief thing. The Ingvionic nasal spirant law, as it's called. Sorry for the terminology dump there. So long vowels in E, or do you mean D? So it looks like someone is making some noise outside again. Always fun. I don't dare close the window because I will overheat if I do. But I hope, is that noise too annoying? Let me know. If so, I'll put in a quick break here and I'll close the window. All right. Hopefully this microphone is relatively directional, but I don't know. I hear the noise anyway. Yeah, okay, I think this is annoying me, so I'm gonna have to put in a little break here, and I'm gonna close the window, and then we will keep going. So I'm going to do that. I'm gonna go back to the full screen, quickly say, YouTube, thanks for joining, and we will be back soon. And chat, I will be back in just a second. Okay, we are back, and hopefully with better sound isolation. I guess we're going to start into the next segment. So, let us get started. I'm going to be schwitzing like a wilde Chaya here, I tell you, but it's going to be worth it because we got to make sure that this is listenable for everyone. So, I am going to do the YouTube intro for the second segment, and then we'll get back to work. So YouTube, welcome back. We are going to be continuing with our adventure in the second Historical Linguistics Challenge. We've got some vowel reconstruction to do, so let's, by all means, just get started. So away I go into the corner, and back to work we go. So yes, the last thing before that noise happened was that we were talking about nasal vowels in A corresponding to long vowels in D. And let's see, it looks like this is, so let's just look at the first few nasal vowels. A has no reflex in D, so we can't tell. It works for word 2. It does not work for word 3, but instead of a long vowel, we get a diphthong. So that still holds up. So it's a long vowel, it's a heavy syllable of some sort, long vowel or diphthong. We have the same thing going on in 4. We have a long vowel in 5. We have nasal corresponding to long vowel in 6. So I think, yes, we should definitely call it. What we could do is correspond. We could posit a correspondence between long vowels and in D, long vowels / diphthongs, and nasal vowels in A, by having the ancestral language having a vowel nasal sequence, and then in D the nasal drops out, causing compensatory lengthening, and then some of those long vowels diphthongize. So I think that's probably what we will do. So let's call this, I think there's also a mosquito in here. Okay, let's bring over the long vowel marker. So this rule, it's a bit hard to see. Having trouble fitting everything on the screen. If you need me to scroll over, just let me know. And so we have this compensatory lengthening going on in D. Okay, and now we have to account for the diphthongs. And I'm not entirely sure how to do it yet. We have something, maybe long A is becoming ow. Or maybe long O is becoming ow or all. Something like that, not sure. Similarly, we may have long E becoming A, although I think we're going to have to reconstruct more of the vowel system in order to do this. And all right, well, I think that's a fairly solid rule, so we can keep that in there, but we are going to have to do the diphthongization. So put a little note in diphthongs, question mark. Let's see if we can. Okay, let's look at something. Well, no, let's first, we'll go down, and I want to get all the way down to 13. So we'll go down to 13 and account for all of these. Let's account for all of these long vowels / nasal vowels. So it looks like we have something like this correspondence. I need to write this up. So on, a, ow, and no reflex in E. Okay, so that's in, where is that? That's in 3. I should do 1 and 2 as well, just to finish it off. So 1, 2, we have nasal vowels. The problem with 1 gives me a bit of pause because I'm not sure which syllable, pen, bean, is being continued by bean in A. So I'm not sure what the correspondence is. It's either N or in, but not totally sure which. So we'll have to enlarge that a little bit. But then we have E, we have no reflex, and we have in. Then for 2, we have I, we have in B. So I in A, nasalized E, and in B. Then we have I in C, we have long A in D, and we have in E. Okay. So this looks to me like, okay, so let's look, we have 5 languages. In 2 of these languages, we have vowel nasal sequences, B and E. In 1 language, we have nasal vowels. In 1 language, we have long vowels / diphthongs. And in 1 language, we have just short vowels. So it looks like we have an ancestral vowel nasal sequence with with nasal loss and compensatory lengthening in D, with just nasal loss in C, with no compensatory lengthening, and with nasalization in A. Perhaps there was an original state of affairs where you had compensatory lengthening and nasalization, and then A and D lost the length, and A and C lost the length, and C and D lost the nasalization. That would be my back of the napkin guess. But let's just continue on systematically so we can gather more data. So we have we have eng, we have ah. Let's start to think about the quality of these vowels as well. What they may have been in the proto-language. I think in the case of 2, I would want to okay, I think before I say that, I'm going to read what Jack has just written. So 1A in corresponds to N in 1B. Otherwise, it would correspond to U and Un in C and E. Well, the question is which of these syllables is dropping out in A? Is it the first or the second? Maybe we can get more information about that elsewhere. It looks to me like it's the second. So I think Jack is correct. Sutton's suggesting we go look at 19. Yeah, so 19 is a similar situation where we have the we have on, mo in A corresponding to mudu, and it's quite clear that we're continuing the first syllable there. So I think we can safely say that I in A corresponds to N in B. And that means we can also go up and find where we've done the B, and actually this is continuing P. Maybe. I think that's probably what's going on. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that one. I'm hesitant enough that I'm going to put a question mark in still. Just to record that skepticism. All right, let's continue with our nasal vowel exploration. So we have ing. So this one's kind of interesting because we have a nasal vowel with a nasal consonant after it. Yeah, so I think, Reggie, you're right that what we have here is VN for all of these. I'm not totally ready to say what nasal it is in particular, although I suspect that it's actually N and the velar nasal for these ones. Actually, I think I am ready to say that. The quality of the vowels I'm not totally sure about yet. So ing. So what do we have here? We have ing. We have. This is interesting. So we're going to. I'm not sure we should do this yet. This is complicated. It seems like we have ing, edge, this. Well, let's just go for it and see what happens. So we have this correspondence. Ing, edge, ek, and then egg, and then ik. What's going on there? I wonder. This is not the same thing as what's going on in 1 to 4. Okay, Sauten's given us something to look at. 31 causes problems for the VN sequences, for the VN hypothesis, as does 5, frankly. And I think it's the same kind of problem. So let's look at this one. We have we have ik, we have ook, we have high tone og, and we have ook. Yep, that's definitely giving us some trouble. So 5 and 31 seem to be a different kind of nasalization, or at least nasalization with some different complication involved. Let's collect some more. Maybe it will become clear as we go. So in 6, I think we have another similar issue. So we have and then oop. So this is actually interestingly quite similar to 31. Ob. So this is number 6. Ob and oop. So it looks like whether we have a labial, whether we have a velar, we're getting this nasal vowel in A. Maybe what we had is some sort of vowel nasal stop, something like this. Oh, but let's just write VNP sequence. That could work, I think. It's possible then that the prenasalized, yeah, as Jack, I think there's something to recommend that theory as well. Whether it's a nasal consonant sequence or prenasalized stop. Or it could just have been a voice stop that in one branch gets prenasalized. Although, if that's true, why does it show up as a long vowel in D? If it were just a prenasalized stop, I don't think we would expect compensatory lengthening necessarily. This to me suggests a vowel nasal stop sequence. So maybe that's what we have here. If that's true, if we have a vowel nasal stop sequence here, why do we have a nasal consonant after the nasal vowel in the nasalized vowel in A? Blah 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 blah. This is what I wonder about. So let's treat these as provisional reconstructions. Well, everything's provisional, frankly. Let's continue. Let's forge ahead. Okay, so then we have nasal vowel in 7, ad in B, ab in C, ib in D, and up in E. So I think we have the same kind of thing going on here in 7 as we have in 5, 6, and 31. Something like vowel nasal P. Oh, I'm glad those with knowledge of this are enjoying that process. We do aim to provide some entertainment on this channel. Okay, so let's continue. 8. Here we have the more classic nasalization scenario. Ang. Where is it? Oops. I and so here I think we're dealing with vowel and then the velar nasal. Reggie asks, why not vowel nasal T for 7? Well, I was thinking that we might be dealing with something like yeah, what if we, that's a good point. Okay, so what if we have something like, let's just use this vowel for sake of argument, something like amtan or yeah, something like amtan. And then we have denasalization in B to abtan, and then voicing assimilation to abdan, and then place assimilation to addan. Maybe that's the solution. Or maybe let's go back over here. Maybe it is just a voiced stop. I'm going around in circles here. I'm going around in circles. Chat, what's going on? So what are our, let's try and corral our resources. What are the options for words like 5, 6, 7, and 31? So let's get 8 out of here because that is much more like these. What are our options? Let's use this area as a scratch pad. So we have a vowel, nasal, stop sequences. We have vowel, voice stop sequences. So I'm using T as cover for any stop, D as cover for a voice stop, and N as cover for any nasal. We also have vowel and then prenasalized stop. Options. The other thing that we might be dealing with is vowel nasal, which becomes denasalized in branches like B, C, D, E. VNT has the advantage of explaining compensatory lengthening. So that's good. What are the disadvantages of the VNT theory? It runs into issues, as Sutton points out, with word 1, penbin, unless we lose the second syllable before. And then it ends up being just pen. That could be the issue. If nasal vowels were in the proto, they would have to have been long in order to explain D. And if they're all long, if we have a proto-language with a set of exclusively long nasal vowels, then it almost seems like, why not just reconstruct vowel nasal and then something else. Oh, you heard the ice cream elephant. Yep, he's back. Bringing ice cream to all the good people of Lima. I have to say, the ice cream that they have here is really good. But neither here nor there. All right. Okay. We could have the series of prenasalized stops. This is another theory. What does this buy us? What does this buy us? This buys us the fact that we have nasalized vowels in some and stops in others. So it's kind of this prenasalized stop is sort of midway between the two. It doesn't tell us much about so midway between stop and nasal. It doesn't really explain the length of D. Yeah, it doesn't explain the length of D, unless we have something like lengthening before voiced stops, always, or something like that, which I guess does happen allophonically in English. Yeah, possible. I'm not sure. And then just a vowel voice stop sequence is kind of similar to the prenasalized stop theory. So they're kind of in between the two, or rather, it's not appreciably different from the prenasalized stop theory. The vowel nasal theory runs into trouble with the different treatment of vowel nasal sequences. So I don't think that's it. Okay. So Jack points out, if we have a prenasalized stop going to nasal stop sequences in D, yeah, we could basically combine these theories. So we have prenasalized stops in the proto-language, then those go to nasal stop sequences in D, and then we get compensatory lengthening. Maybe that's what it is. I think we need to collect a few more correspondences. I think these are our two theories. So let's be on the lookout for something that can help us with this. How is 5 handled with our existing obstinate reconstruction? Well, we have to decide what this consonant corresponds to. So let's treat the obstruent on its own here. So it seems like we have some kind of nasal in A. So we have nasal in A. We have the affricate in B, which is explained by our well, we have a nascent rule here. Coronals have to become palatal under some circumstances, probably before front or high vowels. Certainly this case is both. Okay, so that's good. We have K, we have G, and we have aspirated K. So let's look at our existing correspondence sets. We have this kind of thing going on where we have aspirates in E. We have this for T3B. We have this for T2. We have this for P2. T3B may be wrong. These may not be of the same kind as the rest of T3. That's why I call them T3A and T3B. I think there may be some difference between the two. But regardless, it looks like we're dealing with something like this 2 series, T2, which we have voiced, 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 aspirate. Voiced, 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 aspirate. What do we have here? Nasal, voiced, voiceless, voiced, aspirate. So 3 out of 5 ain't bad, I guess. Yeah. We have to find some reason why we get a nasal and in A and a voiceless consonant in C. But other than that, it looks like we're dealing with oh, sorry, did I say coronal to the palatal? This is a velar to a palatal, which we already have. Okay, so focus, Colin, focus. What do we have here? We have probably K2, something like that. I don't think we actually did. Yeah, we have K2. So this, oh, actually, look, this is actually 4 out of 5 ain't bad. So the only difference between the other K2s, the word initial K2s, is that we have a nasal in A. So I'm going to provisionally call this reconstructed K2. Where's my little thing that paints? There we go. So K2. So we're going to put that as orange. Oh, Reggie, thanks for joining us. Your help has been much appreciated. Enjoy class. All right. Sawton wants to see the uvular shift included. We still have the uvular shift, I believe. I haven't changed that. So we have uvulars going to velars in A, B, and C. Uvulars getting deleted in D. We've limited this to word initial position, maybe more general than that. We haven't really explored the other positions. Up until this point, we're going to start with that now. So I think what we have here is what we have in 5 is something like, so we either have something like enkine, something like that, or maybe enkine. And let's put that velar nasal in. Enkine or engine, not totally sure. Or we have, maybe we could call it NK2, Enkine. Don't know what sort of stop that is. Or we have something like, where would we be? Engine. Those I think are our two options. And so in that case, K2 would be the pre-nasalized. So what we have called K2 here is actually the pre-nasalized series. So those I think are our two options. So if the two series are pre-nasalized, let's see if that makes sense. Does a pre-nasalized stop make sense going nasal? Yes. Voiced? Yes. Voiceless? Maybe after a chain shift or something like that. Voiced? Yes. Aspirated? That seems a bit off to me. A pre-nasalized stop becoming an aspirated stop. That doesn't strike me as the most likely thing in the world. The other option would be that we have indeed a nasal stop cluster, and we have something like, as was mentioned last time, a voiced aspirate Proto-Indo-European style situation going on like this. And then having it become voiced and voiced in some branches, aspirated in some branches, makes sense. And then the presence of the nasal comes from the fact that that the nasal stop cluster simplifies to a nasal, but not before putting nasalization onto the previous vowel in branch A. Maybe? What do we think, chat? I don't know. So I think those are our two options for K2. Let's see if we can gather more data. So we have, let's look at the other twos. So these are all initial. These are all word initial. So if they are prenasalized, well, you would expect some of them to, well, I don't know about this, but I would say it's a slight argument against that theory that we don't have any trace of nasalization in any of them at all. These two series, here we have the P2, no trace of nasalization, K2, no trace of nasalization. I'm leaning towards this theory here, the nasal stop cluster, for that reason. Jack asks, why does A have ingin, as opposed to ingin? Okay, well, I think we could definitely make the sequence work by saying that we yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. Because, Jack, you're right, because that would conflict with what's going on with 3, where we seem to have ton darlo. I'm assuming that the structure of the word is something like B, going to don der. And if this were analogous to 5, we would expect donner. Oh, goodness. Well, I'm worried that we're causing Sotten some pain here. I never like to be the cause of anyone's pain. Schadenfreude, perhaps, but not pain. So why don't we leave this for a moment, put in a break, and try and tackle another problem, and hopefully we can find a solution there to what's ailing us here. So back to the full screen webcam to say goodbye to YouTube. And we will come back and we'll work some more. And we'll hopefully make some good progress. So we'll see you then. Chat. This is a tough one. Oh no, son, don't worry. I'm not in any pain. I'm enjoying myself tremendously. Okay, so I think we've reached a slight dead end. We're going around in circles between these two ideas. I don't think we have any. We go over to one and then we find some evidence against it. We go to the other, we find some evidence against it. We need to break through this somehow. I think we have to just go on to something else. So let's try a simpler word and see if we can do something with it. Let's try and make let's try and reconstruct a full word, a very short one, and see if we can do it. Okay, so let's jump in. YouTube, hi, we're back. We're going back in. We have no time to spare. We need to figure out what's going on with this language. We're gonna leave the nasal stuff aside for now. We're gonna try something else. So let's scoot over. Let's scoot over to the side webcam and see what we can see. So let's just keep everything kind of organized here. Sutton suggests let's look at the rhotic vowels. Yep, let's do that. Where are they? So they are in D. So where are our rhotic friends? We have one in 22. Well, let's start at the start. Where is our first rhotic friend? Here, 14. So we have a nasal vowel in A, no reflex in B, oral vowel in C, a long rhoticized vowel in D, and in E. Interesting. Let's look at the CV skeleton of this word briefly. What do we think it was in the proto-language? We have, if we look, so it's a shame we don't have B, because that is usually the most conservative. But E is also, and we have lumiak. In C we have lorak. So we have CVCVC in C. We have CVC VVC in E. It seems clear that we're losing the final consonants in A and not always in D. We're losing final consonants in A though, for sure. Okay, so here we have two correspondences. We have, we may as well just do the second one as well. Corresponds to corresponds to actually this corresponds seemingly to ak, and this corresponds seemingly to ak, or maybe iak. I suspect that E is not part of the correspondence though, but okay, so we have this thing happening again. We have, wherever we have a long vowel in D, we have a nasal in A. Sometimes we have a vowel consonant sequence in C and E as well for the long vowels, slash diphthongs in D. I just want it to be VC. I want these to take up two timing slots in the proto-language, which is leading me in this direction. Because then it makes sense. Wherever we have a long vowel or a diphthong in D, we had a VC sequence in the proto-language. Okay, we don't have enough yet. We have R. Oh, you're right, Sutton. Okay. Phonetically, those of the chat who are more well versed in phonetic and phonological typology than my brain is, at least at the moment. Are there any languages with pre-nasalized flaps? A question for the chat. Do you know the answer? Nothing occurs to me at the moment, but I am not the living embodiment of walls, so I don't know. Let's forge ahead. I think we may be able to gather more data. So we have a situation in 16. English does have a nasal, yeah, some varieties of English at least have a nasalized flap in winter. Of course, the nasalization shows up on the vowels, mostly, or on the preceding vowel. Winter, I think. Winter, I don't know. Okay. Focusing. Let's look at 16. We have two vowels here that are of interest to us. We have E, no reflex, O, and U. And in fact, this is very similar to the problematic correspondence sets we've had before. So these are, I'll put in the following consonant just so that we've got a clear view. And then we have the nasal after instead of the stop. Personal mud flaps for trucks that are nasalized in some way. That'd be something. Okay, let's do the second vowel on this. So is, ishi, no correspondence, high tone, rhoticized ear, and okay, so it looks like what's going on here is we had final vowel loss in A and D. So let's insert a row above here. We have final vowel loss in A and D. And the reason I say that is because we have the S seeming to affect the quality of... Okay, I could be wrong here, but my intuition is that we have this onset S in E, we have this onset S in B, and they're not playing at all with the quality of this E vowel. They're not causing... Okay, no, wait. I could be wrong. I'm going down an alley that I'm not sure I should be. Because let's look at something very important here. No compensatory lengthening. There's no compensatory lengthening on this vowel here. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Okay. I think we have to just keep moving on. Where's another? Okay, here's one. Unfortunately, we don't have reflexes in two of the languages, but we have art, art. It's high tone. In 22. Oh, I'm starting to panic. Let's keep going. Let's see if we can find any more. We have on 35. I'm assuming that E is cognate because we lose ra word initially in B. We know about that already. And we have our our rhoticized. Whoa, that's a separate character? Oh, cool. Ear here. We have high tone rhoticized here. We have E. We have long E in B. And we have E. So that's 36. Yeah. So I think what's going on here is we have rhoticization next to the flap. Because if we look at the contexts, we have some kind of consonant followed by ra. We have probably ra. In 34 we have, in 22 what do we have? We have S, some kind of S-like thing, and T. And then in 16, let's go back up. 16 we have something like, well, we have this mystery K2, don't we? 16? T2, and then we have S. And some kind of S-like thing. And in 60, so these are our rhoticized friends. And then in 14, we have the flap and then something like K. So it seems to be when it's adjacent to a flap or S, whatever this S thing is in 16 and 22, we rhoticize in D. I think this is what we have. So vowel rhoticizes adjacent to doesn't that work? Where's the rhoticized diacritic on here? Ba, 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 ba. I can't find it. There we go. Next to, and then our good friend ra. And then we have to look at this S issue. Sutton's got another one for us. 41. I don't think... Oh, 39. Right, okay, we missed one. So let's put that in. This is actually quite interesting. We have E, we have no reflex, we have A, and then we have this friendly ram's horn, unrounded back vowel, and then we have something like ST. So the question is, what is this S? If we go back to how we treated the initials, we have things that we reconstructed as S1 and S2. Well, I say we. I really did this S1, S2. And the difference was that we had it showing up as, we had S1, whatever S1 is, showing up as H in branch E, and showing up as this retracted S in, and for S2. That seems to be the big difference. Otherwise, they're shared. They share their reflexes for the most part, modulo the palatalization that we already know about in B. Okay. So the question is, which of these S's, S1 or S2, is the thing that rhoticizes? Because that could tell us what it might have been in the proto-language. So let's see if we have any clues. So let's look at these S's that are in 16. So we have one in 16, we have one in 22, and we have one in 39. So 16, the correspondences for this sibilant are S, sh, no reflex, nothing, and retracted S. Okay. Then okay, 22, we have, the key thing is, what is it in E? Because if we find out what it is in E, then we know which of the S1 or S2 it is. We don't get any such help in 22, but we might as well just write down what we have anyway. SS, nothing. And then 39, does it tell us anything? Yes, it does. So we have S, the palatal variant that we have already, palatalized variant that we've already discussed, S, and then retracted S. So given this, I'm going to call it as S2. So T2, S2, S2, S2. So then what was S2? S2 is something that will rhoticize in D, but it shows up as S in A, B, C, and D, where it still remains in D. It also shows up as this retracted S in E. Yeah, Alethea, I think you're right. I think what we're dealing with is a retroflex of the proto-language. I think that's the best answer. Oh, by the way, hi Alethea. Glad you could join us. Your brain power will be is very much appreciated, given that I've got like 20% of mine active at the moment. Okay, so let's see. Let's say S2 is retroflex S. So then we can say that S1 is just S. Okay, I like this. So then let's deal with what happens to them. So we have don't know. We don't have, I think, crucial ordering for most of these, so let's just put them up at the start for now. We have S going to H word initially, at least. We have retroflex S giving us this retracted S. Oops, that's, where's the diacritic? There it is. And we can then say that retroflex S is still around at this point in D, but then afterwards turns into plain S. In general. And in all others, retroflex to plain S is general. We don't see any, we don't see any other influence of that. Okay. Okay, I think we've actually made some progress here. Although the scream echoing out of Sauten's body leads you to believe that maybe there's something we haven't got quite right. But nevertheless, we won't let it phase us, will we? Okay, so I am pretty happy with that. So we have our S2. Good. So then in this case, why don't we start doing a little bit of whole word reconstruction for some of these words. So let's give ourselves let's just put the proto here. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, I didn't quite get to the mute button. I apologize. Well, Lucy could put that in the intro or something. I don't know. Alrighty. So let's look at one of these. Let's look at one of these short words that we just dealt with. So maybe something like 39 is somewhat possible for us to reconstruct. So we have retroflex here, vowel of some kind. It's a front vowel, so let's put that in. Then I think we have something like, I'm not sure what to do with this aspirated sibilant. Why do you do that to me? So let's just say this is something else, and then some kind of like vowel probably in there, giving us something like shetsa in the proto-language. Let's just shrink that down a bit so we can see it all. Then we can do one more maybe. Can I shrink this? I can't. There we go. Then let's look at 22. Let's see if we can do anything with that. So here we have nisat here. So maybe what we're dealing with, we have some kind of nasal, some kind of front vowel, some kind of velar or dorsal obstruent, and then our friendly retroflex, an a-like thing, a t-like thing, and an a-like thing. So we have this something like nekshata. Although I think we can do better than that with this initial nasal. Did we have anything? Yeah, when we lose it in the proto-lang in D, it's because it was a uvular usually. So we can then, I think, reconstruct this as nekstrata. Sutton is pointing out that this, or is suggesting that this is, we're doing with an affricate in which one? 39? Yeah, I don't know what the notational conventions are. Are we using the tie bar? Maybe Team B can, if it's not considered cheating, can elaborate. Are you marking affricates explicitly or not? I was assuming that affricates would be explicitly marked, but if they're not, if this is an affricate, let me know. Again, if you don't consider that against the spirit of the rules. Okay, so they are affricates. So in that case, I'm going to have to, I'll put a C there for that cover term. All right. So something like setra. Okay. Okay. Let's do a little bit more. What's our other retroflex friend? So we had 22. We had 16. We didn't do 16. Let's do 16. So I think we actually have a proto-retroflex, proto-lateral fricative. We don't see any changes word initially to that in any language, so that's pretty safe. We have E or I, O, U. So it's a vowel. And we have our issue with this nasal stop sequence. So this is our T2 / nasal T2. We're not certain yet. We have then some kind of a front vowel, some kind of an E-like thing, then our retroflex. And then another vowel. It's super readable, isn't it? Something like, I don't know what the vowel is yet, but something like hlu, let's say it's u, hluntishu, something like that. Okay. All right. Time to put in a break in for YouTube, and then we'll come back and we'll do a bit more. All right, YouTube. You've watched the triumphs and the tragedies. Let's see what happens next. But in order to do that, unfortunately, you'll have to wait till the next episode. So we will see you back there. And without further ado, have a good one, YouTube. I don't know how to end it, so I'll do one of those things. Okay, right. Yeah, whew, it's getting hot in here. Let's continue. Okay, I'll say hi to YouTube again. YouTube, we're at the end. I don't think 4 hours is enough to finish these challenges, but if we spent any longer, we'd really never do anything else. But let's see if we can make a little bit more progress and then see if we want to do the big reveal. Okay, so let's scoot in. Let's try a little bit more. Let's do 10 minutes more of work, and then let's take the temperature of the chat and see if we want to do the big reveal. And release Sutton from the curse of the ancients, which was placed upon him. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's do some more of these full words. Let's get some vowels down. Okay. Let's get some vowels down. Let's do this one looks interesting. 11. Let's see if we can reconstruct it. So we have a vowel a. So we're going to start with the vowels here. A, a, ah. This looks like it's probably something like in the proto-language. I don't think we have and then it seems like we also have it seems like in C we have something going on like Proto-Germanic, where we have a and o merging. Although I could be wrong. It was just the reason I thought that is because, or I think that is because we have 11 where we have this a, and this o, a, ow, or could be wrong. We'll see. Let's just do the second vowel in this, which is in, u, o, oops, and un. How can we get to all of these? Probably something like un. I'm thinking in the proto-language. I'm getting a bit more fast and loose because we're running out of time. So it looks like we have here something like some kind of K and then lateral fricative un. And then which K? We still haven't figured out the mystery of the different observate series yet. But this is the K that is K3. So, and the only thing in A, it's intervocalic. Do we have any other examples of this? I do not believe we do. So I'm just going to state. Wait, do we have any other fricatives that voice intervocalically in this? Yeah, we do. So, or at least it looks like we do, although sometimes we have some counterexamples. Let's just say we have intervocalic fricative voicing. So the fricatives will voice intervocalically. And then we will have some reason why this one does not. Maybe it is only the coronal fricatives. Or maybe there's some sort of rule ordering thing going on here. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some way around it. So let's just see. So let's say, yeah. So we have there something like K3, so something like kahlun. And let's see if we can do any more. Oh, yeah, there's got to be some rule ordering solution. Maybe at the time of the fricative voicing, this is still K3. Oh no, K3 doesn't become the fricative. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a mess. Okay, next time we do this, I think we're gonna have to make it a little bit more winnable, or allow more time to it, because I just don't think that the 8 hours is enough, especially 8 hours of of the amount of attention I can give while I'm doing the stream and narrating everything. Yeah. Well, let's try a few more little reconstructions so we can have some whole word forms to compare. So I think that we're dealing with something like, what is this? K38. So something like, this is something like SUK1U. The vocalism I'm not totally certain of, so I'm just gonna I say K1 because the 1 series have this pattern of voiceless, voiced fricative, voiced, voiceless, which we see here. And what else do we have? Can we reconstruct anything else? Well, I think we can reconstruct something like, for 2, we have T1, probably E, and then the velar nasal. And for 17, we could probably do as well. So what do we have for 17? We have P2, something probably like P-nang, whatever this 2 is, whether it's a voiced aspirate, whether it's prenasalized, I do not know. Then we could do maybe 19, which will give us something like MU T2U. And we could do 20, which will give us none. And I believe in this case we do have good evidence for a nasal. And then we have KH. So this is K3. And something like, it's not totally clear what the final vowel is to me, something like O. Yeah. And here we have something like velar nasal. I think this is E. And then K2E. Something like Wenki, depending on what the precise phonation of these 2 series is. And we are, Sutton, you're a 30-day period. I think that's probably enough time to do it justice, but I'm not. I'm even hesitant of that because I know what you're capable of. Okay, so then we have K3, then some kind of back vowel, and then I think we have an M, and then this would be our T1, and then a U. So whatever this 1 series is. So the big mysteries. Here are my big mysteries. What are these 3 series of? So is it true? Is this reconstruction correct that there are 3 series of stops? And if so, what are they? If we have enough evidence to sort of have us going around in circles, one thing to the next. But I don't yet have the at least presence of mind or the available data or all those things together at once in order to make a good decision. Why on earth do we have patterns like in 5, 6, 7, and 31, where we have this nasalization showing up, but then no traces of nasals anywhere else? How do we explain the appearance of long vowels in D in a variety of different contexts, both with nasals after them and seemingly with just stops after them, with oral stops after them? Oh, hey, John. Welcome. Glad you could join. Yeah, unfortunately, we're wrapping up right now, but it has been a journey. It has been a journey. Okay, so what is our next step? I think it's going to be to see the answers. So I've listed out the big mysteries. I'm also curious to see whether the analysis of S, this other sibilant as a retroflex, because it gives us the rhoticized vowels in D. I'm curious to see if that's correct. So I think, I don't know, team, do we want to do the big reveal? Do we want to see what's behind the curtain? I think it's time. Lucy, what do you say? Okay, we're about to reveal. So, without further ado, let's see how wrong how wrong I was. Okay. We have prenasalized stops. Let's see how. Okay. Let's answer the big mysteries. Big first question: were there 3 series of obstruents? Yes. Here we have, at least in the labial, alveolar, and velar places of articulation, we have 3. What is their nature? Is one a prenasalized stop? Indeed, one is. Okay. Do we have a retroflex S? Yes, we do. Oh, this is so cool. I'm sorry we didn't get to the vowels that much. Okay, so is our uvular hypothesis correct? Let's start to look at some of these reconstructions. So let's look at 21. Do we have... Oh my goodness. I have to... Okay, let's look at 21. What did we have? So this is what we reconstructed as something like Ngenki. And if I can find it on the... Find it here. At the final list, okay. 21. Okay, so we were quite close. So our 2 series. So knowing what we know now, let's rewrite these algebraic notations with what they actually are. So K2 is prenasalized G. We can give ourselves the correct vowels in here. So I think, well done us. I think we have, okay, let's look at 23. So here we have this K3. So it looks like the identity of K3 is plain. So 11 K3 plain So the 3 series are plain. The 2 series are prenasalized. Let's see. So because the 2 series are prenasalized, we have something like mba. And actually, look, our reconstruction is pretty good. We didn't know exactly what was going on with this 2 series, but we knew that there was a 2 series. Mbinang. Let's see if it holds up. So above. So we had. So let's just, for the sake of argument, put in the right vowels so we can see things clearly. So we thought that there was we were unclear on whether there was a nasal before. If there was a nasal, which there indeed wasn't in the end, but we got the fact that this was the 2 series correct, which turned out to be the prenasalized stop. So the contrast between prenasalized stop, between the sequence nasal and prenasalized stop, and just prenasalized stop on its own, actually ended up being quite crucial. That's how we derived the difference between things like this number 1 word, the bread word, and where's another example of that? Trying to find out where the other thing like that was. Is it? Yeah, 20. So 20 we have nasal stop, and then in 1 we have prenasalized stop. Interesting contrast in the proto-language. And then let's look at what the status of the 1 series was. So it looks like the 1 series was voiced, just plain voiced. So this is our word 12. So komdu. So ignoring the fact that we basically didn't get any progress in the vowels at all, I think we traced the outline of this proto-language decently, although we never did end up having the courage of being able to take a stand on what these series actually were. But such is life. I'm pleased with this. This ended up going really well. So let's look at word 5, which I said here are the guesses if you'll recall. So we had something like engine or engine. And what was it in the end? Engine, which was modulo having the right prenasalization symbol here, which was one of our options. So I understand the pain that Group B must have been feeling. Sutton, let us know what you learned from your curse. I am going to just expand this up now to show the world the glory and the grandeur of this reconstruction, or of this language family. One thing that we didn't really spend much time on, but I think really is warrants appreciation, is the fact that we actually have glosses for all of these words, and we can see some cool grammaticalization, some cool semantic shift. This is really, really interesting. So we have, for example, nangko, animal becoming na, meat in this language. We have nak, animal becoming deer in this language. So a, paralleling what happened in the history of English. We have it becoming pet or domesticated animal. So animal being semantically narrowed to pet, to bear in E, and to wild animal in B. So wow, I'm just so my mind is blown by this. I'm told there are sentences and there's a map. Where's this map? How do I get that, Lucy? How do I get the map onto Do you have a link to the map or some way I can put it up on the screen? Or is it on here somewhere? Oh my goodness. Look at this. My immense and eternal gratitude goes out to Team B and also to the chat for helping with trying to untangle this magnificent knot. I'm told there are also sentences somewhere. I kind of want to do, I don't know, I kind of want to do, I want to do a showcase on some of these languages because the reconstruction, I think, is not enough spotlight to shine on these. So if you want, so if you're keen, Team B and Team A for that matter, we can do a little showcase on these families that you've made, because I don't like, you've done such amazing and excellent work that I don't want to, I'd like people to be able to appreciate it if you're game. So just let me know in the Discord if you are, and we can work out a sort of a Conlang showcase thing here. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. So B is English-ish. Oh, A is something like the Chinese languages. B is English-ish. C is Latin-ish. D is Japanese-ish. And E is a Tibetan/Celtic mashup. Oh. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. This is so beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the map, shall we? Oh my goodness. We even have a map. See if I can get this on the screen along with the other stuff. Some of the other stuff at least. So you can see, hopefully. So A is spoken here, B is spoken down here, C is spoken off on this island, D is up here, and E is over on this island over here. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Let's look at the sound changes tree. So do we have a, oh, we do. So we have proto, so we have it going off into what? Into proto ACE. How, am I reading this right? ACE. Or no, how do I read this? Team B, help me. Tell me, what's the sort of the tree structure here? Okay, change the orders. So this is A, B, C, E. Oh, these seem to correspond. A, B, C, D, E. So what are the clades here? What are our what are our intermediate proto-languages? Ship's law. Yeah, we have to delve into this some more. So it looks like B and E. There's a proto-BE. Proto-Tinglucho Yemarop. And a proto-Komtupush Ludinguk. I think that's the way it broke up, because in ACD, we lost the nasals. So we had this nasalization. And then all sorts of fun stuff. Oh my goodness. I don't even... words are failing me. Words are failing me here. And in B and E, the prenasalized consonants just turned into plain voiced consonants. Oh my goodness. Everyone, I am so happy right now. This is just a work of art. Both Team B and Team A have come up with such beautiful language families, and I think it's also kind of an object lesson in reconstruction and how the process works, especially when you're when you're sort of stumbling around in the dark, as I've been. This has been really cool. I think I'll come back to the camera and chat a bit with you here, but we are not done with these languages by any stretch. If I have my way. But anyway, let's say farewell to YouTube for now. YouTube, thanks for joining us. This has been quite the adventure. I actually am quite pleased with our success. In spite of the fact that we didn't make a huge amount of progress, I think we reconstructed a lot of the crucial details. Or at least the things that we spend the most time on, we got more or less right. So to me, that's a win. I don't know if the heavens will count it as a win, but I feel a sense of pride about it. So, and I couldn't have done any of it without you, the chat, and without, of course, Team B for making this beautiful family of Conlangs. So yeah, I was saying goodbye to YouTube. See you later, YouTube. Come back soon. We'll have more of this for you. Give you the old... There you go. And now I just want to talk to you, chat. Wow, this has been so much fun. We're going to have a third one of these, believe it or not, but I think we're going to have to push it towards the end of next month, because we have a bunch of things that we've had on the back burner for a while. We have two big language families that have been languishing, and I think we need to work a little bit on them at least. And then I also think that there's going to be a 1,000 subscriber special happening at some point. I floated the idea of doing a pidgin language of the two language families we've been working on, the Sakrat and the Qal family. I don't know if we have either of the if we have the languages developed to a sufficient. We'll come up with something to do. Because I believe, are about to round the corner. You never know what's going to happen in life. Knock on wood and all of that. But last I checked, we were pretty close. So I hope we can do something fun sometime soon to celebrate that. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much that. Yeah, we'll do the showcase. If Team B and for that matter, Team A, are okay with it, we can do a showcase, and I think that would be a lot of fun. But I think that is my cue to hang up my hat. Proverbially speaking, I don't have the hat on today. I think I would boil if that were the case. But I think it's time to hang up my hat for today, and to wish all of you a very good week. And we will see you same time next week here on the stream. And what else? Is there anything else I want to tell you guys? Well, I'll see you on the stream. We'll see you in Discord. We'll see you in the YouTube comment section. That's what I meant to mention. Because I've been away, I haven't been able to attend to the comment section. So if you've written something and I haven't responded, it's probably just because I was on a mountain at the time. And so I'm going to try and get back around to as many of those as I can in the next little while. But that's all from me. So until next time, everyone, thanks again for joining, and we will see you again soon. Okay. Wait, no. Now I have to figure out how to end the stream.